Hello everyone, Ron here from L.T.L Tutoring Central, and this time around I'm talking about 5 common studying mistakes and how to avoid them. I think it's always a perfect time to learn how to study, whether you're taking an academic course or just something for your own personal growth or even a hobby and you just want to learn as much as you can. There are certain ways to do that and certain ways not to do that. We're looking at some of the things not to do and how to avoid them. Just before I get into the actual content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much to all of you who have hit that subscribe button. It's totally free to hit the button, doesn't hurt at all. and it really does help the channel. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the comments and suggestions and anything you send along. Also, don't forget that if you're planning on taking one of my Udemy courses, the link to the website is below and you can find my Udemy courses there. But don't pay the full price. Send me an email. I can send you a coupon. The Udemy allows the coupons for 5 days. Once you click on it, you have all the time in the world to take the course. But if I put the coupon down below, it won't uh, work after 5 days properly. So now sometimes Udemy has a sale on, and that's fine if you want to use that, but don't pay the full price. Just send me an email and I can let me know which course you want, and I can send you a coupon for that for a huge savings. Generally, it's down around between $10 and $13, $14 US compared to the prices listed. So it's a massive savings there. If you want to know about my private tutoring service, of course, also send me an email and I can either just send you information or we can do a free information meeting online or if you're local in person here at the big table behind me. All right, 5 common studying mistakes and how to avoid them. The first one I'm going to talk about is multitasking during study sessions. I should just say multitasking ever because it's a terrible idea, really. But we're talking about studying here. There is no such thing as multitasking. It's a bit of a misnomer, really. Our brain doesn't work that way. It just turns on, turns off, turns on, turns off, turns on, turns off. So the more things you're doing, your brain is having to do this all the time and it taxes it and it means that you're not going to pick up as much information. You're not going to retain that information long term. It really does hurt. So it's just a terrible plan no matter what you're doing. You need to try to focus on what you're doing. And when you're studying, when you're trying to learn material, uh, you need to be particularly zeroed in and focused. So multitasking. So turn off, don't be texting unless it's related to what you're doing, but most of the time you need to be studying, not texting, not listening to um, music that interferes with your studying. It's okay to have background music. Something without lyrics is helpful because then you're not singing along to it. Instrumental is best, but other music's fine as long as it's turned down and you're not paying too much attention to it. To turn the television off. Anything else that you might have running. You can't be watching a video and studying at the same time unless you're studying that video. That's part of the lesson. But uh, you want to avoid multitasking completely. One of the ways to do that is have a schedule and then stick to it. So if you know that you're studying for on this day for this period of time at this time, uh, it helps you. And if it becomes a routine, so in other words, if you set up a schedule that lasts for weeks or months and it becomes a routine, then it becomes a good habit. And you turn everything off and you sit down and you know that you're going to be focused for this period of time. That can really help you to avoid multitasking. And once you start seeing results, you'll probably like it. And the results may not even be grades necessarily. It may be just that you're enjoying it a lot more. I think people feel that they enjoy multitasking because you're getting a lot of feedback from, likes or comments or whatever, and you're doing all these different things. You feel really busy. Oh, I've really worked hard, but often the studying suffers and everything else is getting your attention. So you feel you're improving and doing a lot when in fact you're doing very little. So try to avoid that. Not taking breaks is another mistake. You do need breaks. Your brain needs a resting period. Your body too. I mean, your brain is part of your body. We tend to separate it and think that it's not, but it is. So it's different for every person and what age you're at and what you're studying, etc. But it's a good idea to have a plan to sit down maybe for 25 or 30 minutes and then take a 5 or 10 minute break and then sit down for another 25 or 30 minutes, depending on how long your study period is. So if it's an hour, you're going to have 2 study sessions with a couple of breaks. That might put you a little over an hour. If it's 2 hours, etc. So you just have these spans of time when you're really focused, and then a shorter period of time, 5 or 10 minutes maybe, where you take a break and you can do some stretching, go for a little walk, maybe have a snack, whatever. But make sure that the break doesn't end up being 30 minutes and the study session becomes 5 or 10 minutes. Sometimes people sort of start to flip that around over time. So you want to avoid that. Having a schedule again can help you with that. Uh, Practice self-care. This I'm including within tip number 2. Um, Make sure you're getting enough sleep. Make sure you're eating properly. Your diet is solid, and you're getting a little bit of exercise as well. At least a moderate amount of exercise. It helps the body, and the brain is part of the body, as I said. So it helps you to do some exercise, get the oxygen moving around your body. Of course, eating healthfully makes your whole body healthier. So, for lack of a better word. And again, that includes your brain. It needs nutrition as well, and you need sleep. A lot of people try to avoid sleep. They think they can uh, do without sleep and get a lot more done if they don't sleep as much. But in fact, you generally get less done because your mind starts to wander, you're tired, you're rereading sentences, so it doesn't help really. It's the opposite. You get so much more done in a shorter period of time, and so more efficiently and more effectively if you're properly rested. Being a passive learner is the third point. Don't be a passive learner. Be an active learner. Being a passive learner means you're showing up to class, you're sitting there, you're listening, uh, you're reading the chapter that the teacher told you to do, or whatever, you watch the video that the teacher told you to do. You're doing the bare minimum and you're just there, but you're not really there. You're not being active. So you want to be an active learner, not a passive learner. So don't just show up to class. You want to do things like use active recall. Question: if you've just listened to a lecture and you're walking home or driving home, well, be careful if you're driving, but your mind should be on the road. Like I say, don't be multitasking too much, but think about what you've learned. Ask yourself questions, see if you can answer it. If you're studying your notes, cover them up, turn away, see if you can uh, remember what you just read or what you've just noted, or if there's any questions, see if you can answer those questions. And that's ask yourself questions as you're reading, as you're listening to a lecture, as you're studying your note. You should always be asking yourself questions and then seeking the answers to those. If you don't already know them without looking at the text or your notes or whatever, then practice that. Go back, rehearse it, and then practice again while you're not looking and see if you can answer those questions. So that's taking an active role in your own education. Teach what you've learned. It's one of the best ways to make sure that the material stays with you, is retained. That's the retention part, is to teach somebody else. Now you can actually, uh, talk to your parents, you can talk to your children, you can talk to your sisters and brothers, you can talk to other students in the class or anyone who's interested, a friend. But sometimes people are not available or they're frankly not interested in learning about, I don't know, the science topic or geography topic or whatever topic. Not everyone's interested in the same thing or they don't have the time. So you can talk to a stuffed toy, talk to the wall. I used to talk to, not this wall, I had a different wall where I was studying. I had my desk and the wall was right behind it. I used to write on the wall too. I wouldn't do that unless it's your own wall. So if you're a younger student, make sure you get permission from your parents. But I use pencil and write and wash the wall for the next semester and start over again. I also took paper notes, but these were brief notes just as quick reminders so that I could keep rehearsing the material over and over again. But teaching yourself, so you can act as your own teacher and pupil at the same time. It might seem funny or silly to say, and it might seem a bit silly when you first start practicing it, but speaking out loud to yourself is like teaching someone else. You pretend that there's someone else there and you're going to teach them, and then you learn the material all over again, which helps it to stick with you. It also makes you think in different ways. It makes you think more deeply about the material. It's not just the sentence that you read in a book. You have to think about how does that work with all the other material and network with other things that you've learned. Number four, not reviewing the material regularly is a big mistake. A lot of students will see the material once, maybe twice if they're lucky, before a test or exam, and that's not really enough usually. So you want to, the best idea is take notes. First of all, a lot of people don't take notes, but take notes, then review your notes every day. So at the end of that day, go over the notes that you did that day, and then maybe at the end of the week, but at least once a week, go through that whole week's notes. So now you've listened to the lecture, you've taken the notes, so that's at least one rehearsal, kind of, and then you review your notes that night. That's another one. And then you review the week's notes again. So that's three times. And then you study for the test. So that's four times. So at a bare minimum, you've increased from one to four. And that has an enormous result. It also doesn't take as long as you think. You think, oh, I can't do that. It takes so long. But it really doesn't take that long because each day, how many notes do you really take that day? So reviewing them again while they're still relatively fresh in your mind doesn't take very long at all, but it does help to incorporate it more into your brain than if you didn't review it. And then to review the week's notes, sure, there's going to be a few more there, but remember, you've already rehearsed them twice, so a third time is not going to take you that long. It really is a time saver instead, because then you don't have to study so long for a test or exam, because sometimes people try to cram, which is my final point because these are related. Cramming the night before an exam is a huge mistake. A lot of people, seem to take great pride in pulling all-nighters. There's nothing to be proud of. It means you haven't prepared throughout the rest of the term or semester. You haven't been doing your work all semester long, so there's nothing to be proud about cramming all night for an exam. You should never have to do that. I never crammed all night for any of my university courses. In fact, most of the time I would stop studying 1 or 2 days before the exam. I might look at a small chart or one or two pieces that I wasn't solid on. But other than that, if I don't know the material by then, I don't know the material. It's as simple as that. I didn't do that my first year. My first year was a little bit of a learning curve. I never crammed, but I didn't stop. I kept studying, and sometimes I would even look at things in the hallway while we were waiting to go in the room. I would talk to other students who were asking questions. Do you know about this? Do you know what about this? And I realized that this just made me panic because sometimes I think, gee, I don't remember that. And then all of a sudden my brain goes blank on everything I do know. And so I learned that first year. No, I don't study past a certain time or day. And then I don't answer questions. I'll talk to you about the weather. I'll talk to you about something else. But I'm not going to talk about the course in the hallway before we go in. I'm either prepared or I'm not prepared. So don't cram. It doesn't allow your brain enough time to fully process the material, and you won't retain it for very long. True, maybe you'll remember a few points for the exam. There might be some short-term benefit, but long-term, it's not going to help you. And if you're studying a particular subject, especially once you get up to college, university level, and you will be doing several years of that. But even in high school, your math, you got next year's math or next year's science or whatever. If you, if you don't know the material well enough now, and the short-term memory from cramming will be gone within days, if not by the end of the day. It doesn't help you for the next year either. It also affects your performance right away. It leads to anxiety and memory lapses because In a way, cramming is a panic attack. You're trying to shove everything in all at once, and it's too much. And often also when people are cramming, they're also usually drinking caffeine or some other substances, let's say, to help them, and that's usually detrimental in many ways as well. So avoid that. So no multitasking. Do take breaks. Don't be a passive learner, be an active learner. Review the material regularly, consistently, and no cramming. Start studying from the beginning of the course and continue on through the whole course. You will know the material. You'll be ready for pop quizzes as well. You can't study really for those unless you start on the first day and you study every day. Basically, every day is a study day. And that, some people are cringing, say, oh, that's horrible, horrible. It isn't really, because it's much more relaxing when you know the material, and you end up working less, not more. You're not staying up all night, sometimes for several nights because you have several different exams. So you're trying to do everything all at once. It just makes it so much easier. All your assignments and essays become easier because you know the material much better. I'm not saying you don't have to review. You should still review. You should still prepare for tests and be focused on that, but you don't have to cram and you don't have to panic and have these anxiety attacks because you haven't done the work all term. So I think those are some great um, points to help you avoid 5 of the mistakes. There's many more possible mistakes you can make, but most of them are related in some way to these. So if you follow good study strategies, you'll be fine. You can learn more about study skills and strategies on my Udemy courses, and also from me personally, my private lessons. If you want to know more, uh, send me an email. You can check out the website as well, but send me an email. I can send you more information, or we can have a free information meeting. I hope you liked the video. If you did, hit that like button, hit the little thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate everybody who already has. So let's keep this learning going. Apart from that, keep learning, keep having fun. It is Ron from L.T.L Tutoring Central. Bye bye for now.